Good evening. This is the Municipality of Anchorage Zoning Board of Examiners and Appeals, April 13th, 2017 meeting. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Vig.
Here.
Ms. Iker. Here. Ms. Dole. Here. Mr. McKay. Ms. McKay.
Here.
Here.
Mr. Ayers.
Here.
Ms. Hickok.
Here.
Mr. Hale.
Here.
Mr. Karj has been excused. Thank you.
Mr. Vig. Mr. Vig.
Okay. Madam Chair,
Yes?
I'd like to move that we reorder the agenda this evening and move the election of officers to the end of the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, we'll have the election of officers at the end of the meeting. Next order of business are minutes. We have minutes from October 13th, 2016. Could I have a motion, please? Mr. Vig moves. Ms.
Move to
Baker
approve the
seconds.
minutes.
I do.
Are there any changes, any additions, edits? Is there any objection to approval of the minutes? Not, the minutes are approved. And we will move on to special order of business, what's left of it. Disclosures. Are there any disclosures in this? Mr. Ayers.
Madam Chair, won't be participating in the vote on the resolution for approval for the case number 2016-0106, as I was recused from that case.
Okay. Any other disclosures? Do we? Okay. No other disclosures. So the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The consent agenda are all items before the board that do not require a public hearing, heard as a unit without discussion, unless someone would like to pull something from the consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull the item from the consent agenda? Can I have a positive motion? Ms. Iker.
I move to
And Ms.
approve.
Dole seconds. Any objections to approval of the consent agenda? If not, the consent agenda is approved, and nothing on the appearance request item, nothing on unfinished business, nothing on the regular agenda, which brings us to the public hearings. And this hearing is about a variance, and so variance hearings are governed by regulation 2112-520, and so I will discuss the procedure to be followed. The chair will introduce the variance and explain the procedure. That's what I'm doing. The board will hear and rule on any objections to the sufficiency of notice. Staff will present a brief outline of the variance. Board members and the applicant may ask questions of the staff through the chair. The applicant has a total, we'll open the public hearing, and the applicant has a total of 10 minutes to present their case and may reserve time for rebuttal. Throughout the proceedings, the burden of proof rests upon the applicant to convince the board by a preponderance of evidence that the variance should be granted. The board members and the staff may ask questions of the applicant through the chair. And then representatives of groups have 5 minutes for testimony, and individuals have 3 minutes. Time is kept by the secretary. The display in the front will be green to within 1 minute of the time allowed, and then will turn yellow. At this time, the applicant or the testimonial person should begin to sum up their testimony, and at the end of the allowed time, the light will turn red and a tone will sound. All persons who testify may be questioned by the board members, the staff, and the applicant. On the conclusion of the public testimony, the staff, followed by the applicant, shall have a right of rebuttal. The chair will close the public hearing, and then the matter will rest with the board. Any action by the board shall require the favorable vote of a majority of the fully constituted board. A fully constituted board shall include all members of the board, including vacancies not excused for conflict of interest. And so for approval of any motion, 5 positive votes are required. For a variance to be granted, all 8 standards must be met. And at the end, the final decision of the board shall clearly state on its face that it is a final decision with respect to all issues involved in the case, and that the parties have 30 days from the date of mailing or other distribution of decision to file an appeal to Superior Court. With that, the case is case number 2017-0042, and the petitioner is Mary Hibbert. Can I have the staff's presentation, please? Oh, wait. I forgot something. Will the staff please describe the notice given in this case?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, the sufficiency notice. On March 16, 2017, a total of 139 public hearing notices were mailed. No responses were received from the public, and no comment was received from the Avalute Community Council.
Thank you. Are there any objections to the sufficiency of notice in this case? Seeing none, will the staff please present the case?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a request for a variance from dimensional standards in the residential districts to allow an existing permitted addition to a single-family residence to encroach 10 feet into the required secondary front setback in the R1 district. The minimum secondary front setback is 10 feet. This existing house encroaches into the 10-foot secondary front setback located along the south property line. The petitioner purchased the home in 2012. The original as-built, the previous owner's approved building permit for the addition, and the certificate of occupancy did not show that the state of Alaska 1963 warranty deed that moved the south property line 10 feet to the north. After the Abbott Road project brought to light the true location of the property line, the petitioner moved the encroaching fence and acquired a new as-built, which reflected the property line essentially located at the wall of the building addition. This did not meet the 10-foot secondary front setback. The petitioner is seeking approval of the variance in order to sell the property. See findings. Standard A is met. The original house and the previous owner's building addition was permitted by building safety in 2001. This did not take into account the warranty deed. It was not shown on any of the as-builts the petitioner received at the time of the sale or with the building permit applications. The yard setback encroachment will not cause a life or safety hazard. Standard B has been met. Strict application of the secondary front setback would create undue hardship upon the property owner. The existing addition did go through the permitting process and received a certificate of occupancy from the municipality of Anchorage. The owner is not asking to increase the existing encroachment. The owner moved the fence on the property and acquired a corrected as-built, which shows the true location of the structure in the property line. That this variance that they're seeking would allow the addition to remain. Variance standard C is met. The encroachment did not result from actions of the applicant. Standard D is met. There are no structure separation violations. This encroachment faces Abbott Road, and given the character of the neighborhood, it does not appear that granting of this variance will have any adverse effect on the adjacent properties or the public welfare, as the Abbott Road project has been completed. I think the structure does not encroach past the property line into the right-of-way. There's also been no objections from the neighbors or the community council. Standard E is met. The request variance is dimensional and will not change the character of a zoning district. If this variance is granted, it would not allow a use not permitted in that district. Standard F is met. The request should have little or no negative impact on the neighboring residents. Standard G has been met, the department finds, and Standard H has been met as the variance. This variance would be the minimum that will make it possible for reasonable use of the land. The petitioner is asking for a variance of the existing building that was permitted through building permits to encroach into the secondary front setback. As you drive along Abbott Road, the house is not out of character with other houses, and if the variance is granted, the owner will be able to sell the property. With that being said, the department finds that all the standards of the approval are met and recommends approval of this variance subject to conditions 1 and 2, which are found on page 4 and 5 of the staff packet. I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board may have, and I believe the petitioner is here to answer any questions and make a statement as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Odell. Are there any questions of the staff by the board? You okay? All right. Will the applicant please come forward and state and spell your name for the record?
So my name is Nancy Hibbert, Nancy, Hibbert, Hibbert. And
Thank you. And please present your case.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate being able to be here tonight. It's not without minimal effort. I flew in from Arizona last night. I currently live out of state going to graduate school, so I appreciate the ability and the time to be able to be here. I was notified in January 2016 that the home that I owned, the property I owned, wasn't what I thought it was based on how I purchased the land in 2012. And it's been quite a process with the Abbott Road expansion and living out of state with tenants in the house to get the fence changed and then to go through the process for the legal aspects of the property. I did apply for a nonconformity. The original structure was granted acceptance of that nonconformity since the home was built in 1976. But the addition that was put on was not granted the nonconformity, so that's why I'm here applying for a variance. I would just like to emphasize that all of this happened, well, a lot of it happened before I was born, and then some of it continued to happen long before I purchased the property. I went through all the regular process that you go through buying a home with the title company and realtors and all the checks and balances that go in when you're borrowing a lot of money to purchase a home. And this was all new to me when I found out last January that I had this issue going on the side yard along Abbott. I've since relocated to Arizona and plan to sell the home this summer. And so I just would like to have this resolved so that I can move forward in my life and leaving the state, and hopefully the new owners of this house won't have to deal with this issue that's clearly been unresolved over the past 50 or so years. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and again, I appreciate your time tonight.
So you have 8 minutes for rebuttal. Thank you. Are there any questions of the applicant by the board? Mr. Vig.
Thank you. Through the chair, Ms. Hibbert, you referred to the Abbott Road improvement project. And is that currently ongoing, or is it completed, or what?
That section of the project is completed. They completed the further western section, and then I believe next summer they're moving up toward the mountains some more. But the area around my property is finished.
And did the edge of the pavement or the roadway move closer to your home?
It didn't. They did put some utility lines down, and then a bike trail that is closer than the previous bike trail.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Ms. Hibbert? Seeing none, thank you. Is there anyone from the public wishing to testify? in this case? Anyone at all? Seeing none, does the staff have any rebuttal?
Madam Chair, no.
Does the applicant have any rebuttal? Don't know what you're going to rebut, but there you are. Had to ask. So, the public hearing is closed, and the matter rests with the board. May I have a positive motion, please? Mr. Ayers.
Madam Chair, in the matter of case number 2017-0042, a variance from AMC Table 2106-1, I move for approval of the motion, subject to staff's conditions 1 and 2 on page 4 and 5 of the packet.
Thank you. And Ms. Iker seconds.
I do.
Mr. Ayers, will you speak to your motion?
Madam Chair, I believe that staff has sufficiently supported all of the findings for the conditions and that the standards are met. I do intend to support my motion, and that's it.
Ms. Iker, do you have anything?
I don't. I appreciate staff's thorough findings, and I concur with them, and I also appreciate the petitioner's time coming and speaking before us today. It's helpful, your presence. So I, too, plan to support the motion.
Any other discussion? Anyone else? Seeing none, is there any opposition to the motion? Then the motion passes. And the variance is granted. There you go. The agenda doesn't list any reports, any board member comments. Then we have reordered, and we shall take up the annual election of officers. Any nominations for chair? Mr. Vig,
Madam Chair, would you be willing to serve another term?
I would be willing if no one else would like the position.
I nominate you for another term.
Thank you.
I second that.
Okay. There is someone else who would care. Ms. Dole.
I guess I would, first I would wanted to say that I appreciate the job you've done since you've been chair. I appreciate the job that you have done as chair.
And both meetings are what it was.
Yes, and I would like to nominate Dave Hale to be the forget what it's called exactly, but
He would like to be chair, so you can nominate him for chair.
oh,
That'd be cool.
I thought you were asking for
Or he wants my job, vice chair?
vice chair, but
Either way. Board?
I'm currently vice chair. If he would like that job, he's welcome to that as well. It's a pleasure to serve on the board, period, so.
Would you be willing to be chair if I was vice chair?
I would not. I am sorry.
I think what we're trying to do is fill the
Turn
chair.
your mic on.
We're trying to fill the chair position, as I understand it.
We are.
Okay.
And so do we have? You can
I
nominate.
think anyone would, any of my colleagues would be great. Can I nominate more than one person? I'd be willing to do that too.
Did you nominate Mr. Hale for chair?
As I understand it, I'm the only one that really was willing to do it, besides her.
I thought that Madame Chair was nominated again for chair. Did I?
All right, there's been a nomination, but there can be more than one.
Ah.
Then we vote. It's a popularity contest.
But then I have to make a decision on who to vote for. It's easier. I don't have that choice. All right.
Do what?
I thought I was going to nominate for.
We're going to have secret ballot? Can we tear off little parts? And
I'm not running for chair.
okay. All right. So. Yes.
Okay, I will nominate Mr. Hale for chair as well.
Okay. Now, anybody else? I'm willing to serve, but I think Mr. Hale would like to. And so I would like to decline, I guess. And then, can I do that? Okay, I don't accept that nomination. So now, all those in favor of Mr. Hale being
Madam
the
Chair.
chair? Yes?
In light of your comment, I withdraw my motion to nominate you.
Ooh. Wow. Yeah, Ms. Iker seconded. So what? Oh, of Ms. Dole. I mean, whatever. Yes. Mr. Hale. So, all those in favor? Mr. Hale for chair.
Aye.
Okay, so we can vote on that. Yay. All right. The hammer is yours. Are there any nominations for vice chair? Ms. Dole.
I nominate Ms. Iker if she's willing to do it.
I'd be happy to.
Mr. Ayers seconds. All those in favor? Are there any objections? We could just do that, can't we? Yeah. Any objections? No objections. Parliamentarian. Any nominations for parliamentarian? I'm the chair. I can't make a motion, so come on. Are you still on the?
No, I moved to nominate Madame Chair as parliamentarian if she's willing.
I can do that. Toward what? Are there any objections? Seeing none, I'm parliamentarian, and the hammer goes to Mr. Hale. Is there a motion for adjournment? Ms. Iker.
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Ayers. Okay. 25 minutes with election.
And it looks like we have our next one is May 11, is that?
Yeah, there's two